Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. How's everyone doing today? Happy Wednesday. And I couldn't be here yesterday. I think I told you guys I wasn't able to be here yesterday because I had a busy schedule. But I'm back today to do this video and to check in and see how everyone is doing. I hope you all are doing well and that these videos and the messages within are reaching you as well as other people to help them so that they know and they can get on a journey to heal their grief associated to the loss of loved ones, trauma, and things that's caused them a lot of distress. So thank you for being here once again. And I'm going to say this now. In this video that I'm not a licensed therapist of any sort. I'm also not I don't have a degree in therapy, etc., so forth. However, I'm an individual who experienced a lot of grief due to loss of my mother, dog, 10 other people, a good friend during a shutdown. And I talk about that a lot. And the reason why is because it changed my life to get on this path and journey to healing. So, with that being said, I just want the newcomers here to know that the information that's being shared in these videos are my personal experiences and the things that help me to heal the pain, the despair, and the grief. Like I always say as well, you never get over it, but you can get through it. And it's important to get through it because the getting through it is not the easy part. It's a lot of work, a lot of pain, but in the end, it's well worth it because anything that's associated with helping your mental and physical health means everything. So let's jump right in. Um, Actually, I just wanted to say something first. Have anyone, I don't know where people who are listening to this is living, but I think this is a statewide thing with all this construction going on everywhere you go. Roads are closed, streets are shut down, etc. I know they have to do the work and all, but it seems like it's being overdone at this point, especially when people are trying to get to work, etc. You know, just wanted to throw that out there um, about that because it's getting to the point where it looks like they're shutting down major roads to do work on it. But anyway, let's get into this topic of discussion. And the title today is Learning Lessons After the Loss of a Loved One, after the death of a loved one, learning lessons. And that's something that touches home with me. And because I had to learn a lot of lessons after losing my mom, and my mom used to always tell me the the importance of being um, responsible, being a responsible adult, and keeping my personal business to myself. And although I was somewhat responsible, but not as much as I am today, a very responsible individual, more so than ever. And learning to keep my business to myself was the hard part. But the lessons are being learned. My mom used to tell me reasons why, because not everybody who's in my presence are happy for me. They don't want to see me thrive or be successful or be happy in general or be at peace. And I after her death, I started to learn that the energy I had around me, meaning the individuals, were not happy for me and didn't want to see me get better. They wanted me to stay in that energy of despair and grief and pain. And anyone who wants that for me cannot be around me. They cannot be in my life. And I am just the growth of it because we're talking 3 years ago, 2020, when all of this first started. And my mom and I used to, like I said in prior videos, we used to have a lot of conversations, over the phone because we don't live in the same state. And I did visit her as often as I could. And we would have these videos, we would have these conversations about me becoming more responsible and finding better ways to handle, you know, what I have on my plate to take care of. And then also, she would emphasize this a lot, the importance of keeping my personal business to myself, because I was sharing too much with people who were trying to set me up for failure and who had negative ulterior motives, and I didn't know it. But when people get older and stuff, they learn what's what, and my mom would share that with me. It's important that you do this, it's important that you do that, and I wasn't getting it because I was being too subservient and busy making excuses for people and what they are doing because of what's happening in their own life. And I had to learn we are all responsible for what we do. You can't go out there and do something and then say this other person, try to hold this other person accountable for your actions. We are all responsible for our actions and what we do. And, when people know too much about our business, and I'm not talking about negative stuff, just things that we have going on, sometimes people become envious, and all of that. So I didn't really understand what my mom meant by these conversations until after she passed away. And I started getting on this path and journey of healing and healing grief and situations. And what that meant too, as I started to do therapy and connect with grief bereavement groups, is to remove toxicity out of my life. And that was the hard part for me, because I always make excuses for people because we all are imperfect and etc. The Some of the energy the people I had around me were filled with toxicity. They were not on the path as I started to get um, on that path to healing. Because in the beginning, it's baby steps, like I always talk about. And as I took those baby steps, I did the homework that was given to me by my therapist, the pros and the cons, as I spoke about in prior videos. And it was important for me to do that, because as I start to do that, I start to zoom in and see certain negative patterns and behavior and find out things that how people really felt and what they were doing behind the scenes. And I don't go out, argue, and act out a character and all that stuff. What I do is address the situations, and then I let people know, and then I close. And if it continues, then I just cut off, block, and delete. And I do not allow or reconcile under those circumstances. If it's something like, okay, we had a disagreement, let's try to figure it out, that's different. I'm talking about deliberate actions. People who are I call these things premeditations. When you're sitting back and trying to figure out how to hurt someone, how to destroy their business, how to destroy their reputation because you don't like them growing and expanding. And I tell people they need to go to God, ask God to help them, and they need to heal that, because especially someone who's gone through a lot of hell and losing a lot of people and situations, and they're already in grief and pain, and you don't want to see them get out of it. So people like that, I remove out of my energy from around me, and I had to learn, you know, during this, growth process. And as I say to people here, none of this is easy. And I talk about toxicity a lot because when we're grieving, sometimes we're grieving so hard that there's a cloud in front of us and we don't see what's happening because we're so engrossed in the grief and the pain and the trauma of it all. But as we start to do the work to heal therapy, try to weigh the pros and cons of what's going on around us in our life as we get through this. And time helps as well. As time goes by, you never get over the grief, but you can get through it. But the cloud starts to lift, and as it lifts, you can see things a lot more clearly. And that's what happened in my case. And as I start to see things around me in a clearer manner, I start to remember the words of what my mom would tell me within conversations. And she would say specific things that would kind of irritate me, because I didn't want to hear it at the time. But she was right in what she was telling me. Because as I followed those things that she told me to do, these are ways that you find out who are for you and who's against you, and then you do what you have to do. And basically I just cut off, block, and delete, because I'm not going to let anything or anyone interfere with my growth and with my healing. I've gone through too much, lost too much. Now it's time to build. In one of my prior videos, I talk about how, sometimes God will allow us to be broken down. Like you take a building and demolish it so that you can rebuild and become this new individual. And that's what kind of happened to me, broken down, almost like less than zero, so that I can get on a path to heal and to rebuild everything in my life. Because what was around me was toxic, extremely. So how can I heal if I have all these toxic connections? It wasn't going to happen. So I had to be broken down to zero so that I can see around me what's happening, why it's happening. And then I could get on this path to rebuild, healing, to heal these broken areas in my life, and I couldn't see it clearly. And it's like a box of puzzle that everyone set at a table, and you don't know what the picture is or the outcome until you start putting the pieces together. And then you see, oh, okay, that's a tree, that's a dog, that's this or that. But before that point, you don't know what the picture is until you start putting the pieces together. And that's what I had to do with this healing. I didn't know how to do this. So I took it one day at a time. Therapy helps a lot, and I still do the grief therapy weekly with the therapist that I have from 3 years ago. And he has really helped me because he doesn't tell me, do this, do that. He just put things in a different perspective. Well, what do you want to do with this particular situation? Let's do homework. Let's do the pros and the cons. And then let's talk about that list after you have it prepared. And then we talk about what outweighs the other. Does the pros outweigh the cons or vice versa? And then I start to put everything together. It's sort of like in college when they teach you in these classes, especially when you're doing these essays, how to think outside the box. Because as you think outside the box, you start to see things from a different perspective. And that was something I wasn't doing because I was busy being subservient and making excuses for people's behavior. And not understanding that some of this behavior, not only was it toxic, but people were not holding themselves accountable for their actions. They were trying to hold me accountable. And I had a lot of narcissistic people around me. Like, for example, and this is just an example, if I get smacked. Well, if you didn't say A, B, C, and D to me, I wouldn't have smacked you. That's a person who can't take accountability for their actions. No one should be putting their hands on another individual at all, But people, instead of some people who are toxic, extremely toxic and narcissists, they cannot hold themselves accountable for their actions. They blame you for whatever negative actions that they, bestow on you. And I had to learn that. This is what I mean when I said had to be broken down and then rebuilt to see what's toxic and what's not, how things should be. And it doesn't have to just be a romantic setting. It could be just friendship and just situations in general. And learning to look at things from a different perspective, and not only to look at it that way, but to handle them differently. And sometimes for me, the resolution is to cut off, block, and delete, because I'm on a path of healing and I'm going to stay on that path. And as you start to heal people, you start to self-love on yourself, which is important. Never let anyone tell you you're not supposed to love yourself. If you can't love yourself, how can you give love to anyone or anything else? You know, taking care of your mental and physical health is a priority. When you love yourself, you're going to take care of your health. It's just like you go to your primary care physician for that annual checkup. The same thing for your mental health. You know, we have to take care of that, because if we're not okay, we cannot take care of anything else. And that's the bottom line here. And it's important to keep doing the work. And we're going to get up some days where we feel like crap and we don't feel like doing anything. Allow that to happen, but don't stay in that place of depression, stagnation, because it will stagnate you and keep you there. Allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, feel the pain, feel the loss. And I had to do that because I wasn't trying to hear that my mom wasn't here anymore. And it was very difficult, and it still is. Some nights it's still difficult, but I listen to music, I do things, to help myself, you know, to get out of that feeling that I have. Because my mom would never want me to stay in a place of pain and depression because she's no longer here. Also, ask yourself this: would your loved ones want you to stay in a place of pain, isolation, and depression for the rest of your life? No, they want you to embrace life to the fullest. So find ways, like where I live here. Massachusetts is a great state. The thing that I love the most is how people love their pets. People really love their animals, and pets are very therapeutic, and they help us to grow, because they love us unconditionally. And if you have pets, spend time with them, especially during the time when you feel pain and grief. Take them out, do things, even if it's one thing or whatever, because with grief and pain, it takes time. Nothing ventured is nothing gained. You have to allow yourself to feel it, and then you take one step. It's like putting your foot in that water to see if it's too cold or if it's warm. you know Venture out, but take one step at a time and take one day at a time. It's so important. And never allow anyone, like I said, to tell you you shouldn't love yourself. We all should love ourselves, because how are you going to give love to someone else if you don't love you? It's important. It's all part of the healing process as well. And so I felt bad the other night because there's some things that I wanted to tell my mother. I really wanted to talk to her and say, Mom, you said certain things. And as I venture out to do those things, you were right, you know. And that's the part I missed the most, the conversations I had with her, because as she grew older, she mellowed out and wanted peace. And I understand that so much about peace and tranquility. And I'm not going to allow just certain people in my life and in my energy anymore as I start to heal. I just take my time with everything that I do so that I can see what it's about and not be impulsive and jump into things, whether it's a business setting or whether it's, other things. And for that, I learned a lot of these things from my mother, and she would be proud, of these things. So, everyone, one step at a time, just do things that make you feel better. If you like music, embrace that. Listen to some music, put some puzzles together, go out in nature, maybe cold today, but take little walks. And if you have the pet, take them with you. And even if you feel good for that 1 hour, it's okay, because especially for those who just lost a loved one who meant everything to them. Just take one day at a time. Let people know that right now you're not being sociable. You need time alone. Have that time alone, but don't stay there forever. Like I said, you don't want to be in a place of stagnation. And what's important as well is to get yourself connected with a therapist, one that you vibe with, that you can eventually talk to about your pain, and heal that inner child that's in trauma, that may be in trauma or in pain. Take care of the things for yourself, because it's important so that you can be okay. because losing a loved one is not easy. It's hard, especially when they were everything to you. And never let their memory die. Always talk about them. Keep that memory alive of them and what they taught you and what they meant to you. That's so important. I'm learning that, and I have my good days, I have my bad days, but I don't give up. And that's important. Keep going, keep moving. Doesn't matter who like what or don't, just you hear the noise. You can feel it around you. Just stay focused on the path of healing, and eventually that loud noise, that huge bang, is going to get to the point where you hear it less and less until you don't hear it at all. Just stay focused on the path to heal. Little things like this that I'm telling you has helped me to heal. It didn't happen overnight. I'm still doing things, and things like, if you like reading books, go to the library, get your favorite books to read, curl up in a corner, do that with some music, do things that are going to keep you, you know, away, keep you away from toxicity and to help you deal with the pain and the loss. Just take it one day at a time. And most of all, I stay in prayer. That's a very vital part of my day. Prayer with God, time alone with God, asking Him to help me, because without that, I would not have had the help or be here today if it wasn't for Him. And God keeps showing up and He keeps helping me. I never thought I would be on this channel talking about grief and healing and talking to others out there about healing. And guys, do me a favor, share these videos. It's important that people hear the messages, because every day, except for the weekends, there will be a new message, unless I have another busy schedule, but I will still be here and show up, because this is important. This is a no judgment zone. I am here to talk to people about my experiences, and as I have new ones, to share those with you, because we need to heal. We're in a cold world that we live in today where people just don't give a damn. Not everyone is that way, but a lot of people are. And we have to focus on our healing. Our mental and physical health is everything. So I'm on this channel and I'm learning as I go through all of this as well, how to turn pain into power, power into purpose, and purpose into paying it forward to help other people who need to hear the message, who need to be on this journey to heal, and also, more importantly, who want to heal, who embrace it. So let's do this together, and let's continue to share these videos, subscribe to the channel, and be here and show up. And anyone have any suggestions about anything, or you want to talk about something, just leave me some comments in a comment category. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you all very much. And I'll be back tomorrow with a new message. Everyone have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.